January home sales dropped 37% compared to a year ago. That is the lowest they've been in Canada in 14 years. So will the downward trend continue? That's what everybody wants to know. Joining us this morning is mortgage broker Mary Sialtsis. Great to have you in studio.
Yes, thanks. It's good to be here.
So the Canadian Real Estate Association reported that surprising number of an almost 40% drop. I think a lot of people they had the suspicion, but that number confirms it. That's the lowest for the month since 2009, right around the time of the economic downturn. So what's behind the dip?
First and foremost, let's put some perspective. It's actually home sales in terms of units, not dollars. And it's really not surprising considering January 2022, the market was super hot right across the country. It would have been hard to even match the home sales, let alone beat them. So the decrease really doesn't surprise me in terms of units. So this is like actual ownership changing. I think it's going to continue through February because it slowed down once the Bank of Canada started to raise the rates in March.
Right. So while nationally new listings are up 3.3%, January supply was the lowest level since 2000, which is what you were just saying. How does that affect prices overall then?
Well, I think when you have a lower supply, you're always going to have a better increase in demand and your rates are going to be up. It goes back to the, first rule of economics, supply and demand. So I think during the rate increases through 2022, a lot of buyers started to pull back and a lot of them weren't out there shopping. So I think they're starting to come out now. So I think we'll start to see some improvements as we get further into March.
So when things start to come on the market then, could we see a frenzy like we saw a few years ago where the valuations went through the roof?
You might have a mixed bag. The challenge for the reporting is on a national basis, it's very difficult because we have such a variety of...
So many regions.
This is it. You have large urban centers that are very densely populated where you are going to have more demand. You have smaller rural areas where there's less demand. And so putting one number out and slapping it across the entire country is really, really difficult. So I think in larger urban centers, you are going to see some bidding, and you are actually seeing it in the GTA, depending on the neighborhood, the property, and all of that. So I think that's going to happen.
It really is hard to, I think for a long time we were used to trends, and it's really hard to keep up with how dramatic everything seems to be changing. What are you hearing from clients, both wanting to sell or to buy right now?
So I have several buyer clients who, through 2022, when the Bank of Canada started to raise the rates, they really pulled back and they stepped off because they were worried about how high the rates were going to go. And now, since it's sort of stabilized from a fixed rate perspective for the last couple of months, they're starting to come out now. I have several that are out actively shopping. In terms of people selling, I think they've had to make adjustments to their expectations in terms of what price point they might get. But I really think at the moment, with a little more inventory on the market, it's a bit more of a balanced market. So it's actually back to what it used to be and what it should be pre-pandemic, where people have an opportunity to go and look at a house, actually negotiate, perhaps put in a condition.
And because, well, I guess because remember when it was just frantic?
Yes.
I mean, people were spending $300,000 over asking.
That's right.
Are we returning to that sort of frenzy, or is it tapered off a little bit?
I don't think it's going to go quite that high, but it really does depend on the property, the location, and the demand for it.
And what about some of these factors about investors who are scooping up some of the units that are on demand, as opposed to a regular buyer like myself?
Really, it's really just about who qualifies. That's really what it is. It's not necessarily that investors get a better scoop or get a better price.
They just have more money to play with.
That's it. They have more money to play with, and they're prepared to make a move, where I think sometimes an individual buyer, especially first-timer, because it is the biggest financial decision they're going to make in their lives, they might be a little more hesitant, and by being a little more hesitant, they might lose out on their opportunity.
Plus, then, of course, there's the interest rates that factor into that as well. Mary, it's always great to have you here. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.